This morning we're at the Bourke farm in Bourke, just outside Blantyre in Cork. We're here with Brian Harte with Tom Hartes at Dairy Services in Cork. He's about to take us on a walk through a new building here. It's a retrofit where two DeLaval Robots have been retrofitted into an existing dairy unit, replacing an old, I think it was a 16-unit parlour.
Yeah, the parlour, yeah. Great.
So I'm looking forward to taking a walk through now. It'll be good to see us. We're going to look at a double DeLaval robot system here. It's a retrofit system that was put into an existing shed with some modifications to house the robots. But this herd of cows was previously milked in a large milking parlour. The cows enter the robot from the rear. The cows are standing side by side. Once the cow is finished milking, then she exits out through the front of the robot, where she meets all of the exiting cows on a common lane of traffic. They go through a sorting gate to decide whether the cow should be drafted into the holding pen for treatment or for AI, or then if the cow is good to go to grass, the drafting gate will send her out to the ABC gates. Currently we have a cow milking here at the moment. You can see by the screen here that 3 of her teats have completed their milking. The last quarter is just being finished off. Just no over milking or under milking of individual quarters then?
Yeah, that's correct, Brian. So it gives our expected milk yield and expected milk yield per quarter. So we're measuring flow rate per quarter.
So the small number here is her expected yield. Her large number is what her actual yield was?
Her actual yield, yeah.
And the outer circle is the yield and the inner circle is the flow rate?
That's correct, yeah. And it's showing the flow rate of that cow. Our last quarter is 360 grams per minute.
Okay.
So she's, after accepting, identifying, the teat cleaning is done, she's attached the teat cups, and the arm is holding the tubes out of the way, and she'll start to post-disinfect once the flow rate drops below 120 there now.
Okay. So this cow is identified as 1710, and like you can easily go into the cow identity tag here. It'll give you how many her yield on a 7-day milking average. It'll give you how long her milking permission has been, her last heat, when she's expected due for insemination, if she's on the line up to be a dried off cow, or if she's a build up cow, say if she's just coming into her peak. It'll tell you the last time she was milked, her expected yields, her reproduction status has been bred. That was her last insemination, so when she should be due to be scanned. And then down here just gives you an indication of her blood, her NDI and her conductivity, which is basically the quality of the milk. Yep. So we've got green arrows here, so everything's okay?
Everything's good, yeah. Yep. So we're measuring the blood level in the milk. So each of the units measures per quarter the milk yield, the flow rate, and the blood level. So and the conductivity. Everything's good with this cow, so she's good to go.
She's just finished now, so the arm is going to go under here and give her a shot of teat spray.
Yeah, with the inside camera, she can see exactly the teat end, so it just administers a small shot of teat spray, washes the head through and cleans the head inside and outside, and rubs it off the arm to keep it clean for the next cow to come in.
And the clusters here facing in the downward position, they get a quick jet of warm water just to rinse them out?
Yep, and you have an option there, you can have parasitic wash with it as well, okay, so that to stop cross-contamination. And the next cow is in, and it gets ready, prepares them, and we have a unique feature with DeLaval, that they have a 5th teacup that cleans the teats, and instead of it washes and cleans the teats into a separate cup, and that allows for good letdown of milk, once the cow starts milking.
It stimulates the teeth.
Exactly, yeah.
A mixture of air and water just to clean the teeth then as well.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
And it takes away the first few spurts of milk as well?
Exactly, it formilks the cow as well.
Yeah.
So the first few drops of milk, similar to what our grandparents used to do before, strip a cow is away and into a separate tank.
Okay. And controls here then as well?
Yeah, so as you can see, it's one arm. It's quite similar to the arm you see on a human hand.
Yep.
It can be parked, moved out of the way. You have an option with or without a pit. The benefit of this is you can park here and manually attach any cow as well. So.
And the numbers and the buttons are quite large, so it's very easy to say, grab a teacup here and work the controls. You don't have to exactly see what you're doing.
Exactly, it's going to make it easy to attach. So she's just attaching, she's after doing her 4 teacups, and it's now attaching the teacups.
The 3D camera is very quick at finding teeth, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a very quick attachment time. Since we put in the 3D camera in 2019, it has made a big, quick improved our attachment times. So
now the cups have been attached and the arm comes in just to keep the tubes away from the cow's back legs?
Exactly. So if you've got a cow with a jittery left leg, it will it keeps the tubes out of the way.
Okay.
And it also, let's say if a cow does kick it off, it leaves the remaining 3 teats on, back up, washes the teacup on the outside and reattaches the 4 cup without affecting the other 3.
Okay. Maybe we'll just demonstrate a manual attach here as well. So say if we put the robot into park mode, then put it into hand mode, and we'll take off, say, this cluster here to maybe just simulate that it's been kicked off. So then the operator then quite easily can come back in again and press the button, grab the teacup and put it on. Then put the robot back into auto mode. Go up to his whole screen, press hold tubes. And take off our park brake, and then we're back in auto mode then again.
Yep.
So you noticed, or you mentioned there about pre-stripping the teats. That obviously goes to a separate reservoir than the milk.
Yep. So we have inside here we have the 4 milk meters. So there's a milk meter for each teacup. So you can see the displays match what's on the monitor. So we can see all the blood and the conductivity and the flow rates per quarter. So it gives us a very good indication of how the cow is performing per quarter, which is a key indicator.
And these are ICAR approved then as well?
All fully ICAR approved meters, so they can be linked with milk samplers for blood, for fat and protein, and or can be linked with one of the other companies that supply Munster Bovine or any that supply recording systems.
So, like, say, fat and protein meters, they are an added feature that you can put onto nearly every robot, but some customers choose to put them in, some customers don't. This robot hasn't been fitted with them, but we can put up a picture of the, say, the device that Munster Bovine or any recording company will come in with, and they basically just hook it up to the milk sampler line.
Exactly, yeah. You have a pump here, you just take the tube off here, you connect it into your sampler. It's a very, very easy process compared to conventional milking, where it's a large, arduous process. With robotics and milk recording, it's very quick and easy.
So the box basically just contains all of the milk tubes, and the milk tubes rotate around the dispenser when a new cow comes in.
Exactly.
Her sample gets deposited into the tube, and then once the recording is finished, you can go back to your computer, print off a record list of which cow is which, and it all corresponds then with the tubes in the box.
Yeah, it's very user friendly for the operator.
So this is your receiver jar here.
So the milk receiver or milk pump, we have a couple of diversion valves then that divert the cow if there's a cow to be diverted to a dump line. You have the pulsators, the control valve, a lot of the equipment on the DeLaval robot is very similar to a conventional milking parlour. So you have the same equipment, the milk pump, the pulsators, the control valve, the cluster movers, all these pumps are quite, so there's a crossover between the conventional and the robotics.
It's very handy for, say, stocking of spare parts and things like that.
Yeah. As a dealer, it is much easier, you know?
And these are the wash cylinders then for the waste milk and any of the rinsing of the cow?
Yeah, so you have the separate canister here in the inside here that will take the fifth teacup, the teak cleaning cup, puts its milk and water and dirty, so when it's washing the cluster, it goes into this cup here.
And that's just sent to drain then?
Exactly, to drain, yeah.
Very good. So here we're positioned right in between the two robots now at cow level. You can hear the nuts trickling down gradually just to keep the cow nice and content when she's inside.
Yeah.
We've got a checkout style here, and it looks like there's room for a third robot there just beyond.
That's correct, yeah. So we've VMS1, the master, the secondary, and a third robot available as well in this. And as you said, it's a checkout style, so the cows have a waiting area, they're milked, and they're separated from the cows going out. They don't go back out with the cows here. It's just a matter of choice which system you go with, and this is what the Bourkes went with here, you know.
Okay. Yeah, the beauty about the checkout is it's very easy to add on an extra module very, very easily without having cows colliding or things like that.
Exactly, yeah, and you have one control gate after the robot as well to deal with them afterwards.
And there's a kind of a large swinging gate there behind the brush, I suppose, to maybe angle cows into the robot that might not be used to the cow flow?
That's correct, yeah, so bringing in heifers and things like that, it helps to bring them in that way.
Okay.
And we have, depending on the size of the box, of the cow, I should say, we can adjust the box to suit the cow. So when you have a heifer and some of these cows are quite large, you can move the trough to suit. And at the back, the butt pan at the back allows to take away the slurry at the back as well, so it's very clean.
Just keeps the cow nice and tight.
Yes. Yeah. And after the cow exits as well, we have a floor washer that washes the floor, and you can set that for every cow, every 6 cows. So it keeps the floor nice and clean to avoid cross-contamination. Yeah,
the concrete was well laid out here with the flow channels in the right place.
With minimum effort, you would a nice simple flow channel, so it catches all the water from the two robots washing.
The cows love the brush as well right before the milking. It's a real good incentive for bring them in off the paddocks just for a bit of a scratch.
You can see they're quite nice and clean, and they take to the brush very quickly.
Yeah. So as the cows finish milking, then she will work her way through this channel here.
That's correct, yeah.
And then she'll end up in this pre-selector gate. So this...
So this is our smart selection gate. We can divert cows 3 different ways for multiple reasons. We can divert them from cows that are to be inseminated, or we can also divert cows for any reasons whatsoever. So from flow rates to our cow times and things like that. So we can, for any reason, we can divert on the gate. You know?
So straight down there, so is back to grazing.
In this scenario, yeah.
Straight on then is isolation.
Into this isolation pin here. And left is back to the shed here.
Okay, yeah. So this is going to end up being probably, is it a calving area or close to calving?
Yeah, there's a couple of
all straw bedded?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of cubicles going on the side here as well. So yeah.
Very good. So an unusual feature with this new dairy is the bulk tank is actually a silo stored outside the building. Looks very flashy. Do you want to maybe talk a bit about that, Brian?
Yeah, so she's a 20,000 litre buffer silo with an adaptive cooling system for the compressor on it. She with an automatic washer, so she has a double line stainless steel tank, and she's with an alcove as well in between. So the silo is a good option for the higher volumes of milk, and especially for people with space restrictions as well. It's becoming more and more popular all the time, you know.
So what kind of sizes would that typically come in?
They go from 11 up to near over 40,000 litre tanks. So they can go from there's many different sizes and steps of 5,000 up to them.
Now, I suppose the main advantage for a farmer is he doesn't have to build a dairy around it, but you still have to have that little alcove where the milk collection takes place.
Exactly, yeah. For Bourke, you need to have an alcove that that is a clean area, but it doesn't need to be as big as a generic dairy. And so, yeah, like as building costs are increasing, silos are becoming a bit more common because of you don't have as much of a bill to build.
And you'd often hear of dairy farmers having to take the roof off of the old dairy to whip out an old bulk tank to replace it, whereas here if you upsize, it's just a matter of removing the old and putting in a new.
That's correct, yeah. So it's nice and easier with a bottom fill connector at the bottom, and it also has the pipe, the big 4-inch pipe you see there in case to let air out in case it for expansion.
Okay, sure, we can have a look at the alcove inside here where the milk collection takes place.
Yeah.
So we have a plate cooler here, we've got your auto washer, and then the bulk tank just hooks up here, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. So with the bulk tank driver, it's a bit of a different format for when he's collecting milk on a robot farm. So the bulk tank driver comes, he presses this button here, and he waits, and he has a process to do. When a milk tank is collected on a robotic scenario, they have to empty the tank completely, because it needs to wash, and the system is stopped while they're washing. But on this farm here, we have a buffer upstairs that when the driver presses the button, the milk is diverted into that tank overhead, and that stores the milk, and so that allows the robots to keep milking and very little downtime then as a result.
But that button just purges the line and makes sure that the cow is out of the robot, so there's no fresh milk going to come.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the operator can open the valve here so he can withdraw the milk.
He can withdraw the milk and
then wash the tank once he's finished.
Once he's finished. So it's a simple 3-step process there, and it's a quite an easy system to do, especially if you have a buffer vessel. But depending on the time of the day the bulk tank driver comes, if he's coming in the middle of the night, a buffer isn't required at all.
But the tank has to be emptied. The milk truck drivers can't come and top off loads.
No. Not a robotic system, because
once you go into auto wash, it dumps everything down the drain.
Yeah. So that's a requirement with all robotic systems.
Yeah. Very good.
And so we have a plate cooler here cooling the milk, and they have a heat exchanger as well here as well. So
heat recovery.
Heat recovery system, so they can get the benefit out of the cooling, and so to give them 40, 45 to 50 degrees hot water through the heat recovery system.
And that hot water then is topped up with, I saw there was a gas tank outside.
That's correct, yeah.
Oh, there's 2 heat burners here?
Yep.
So these are 2 gas burners just to bring the water up to over 80 degrees?
That's right, the Bourkes here are using gas burners there, and you see she's running around 85 degrees at the moment. So the heat recovery system allows it to go up from 45-50 degrees depending on the usage of the robot up to 85, which means it just reduces costs a little bit as well. So you can use electric heaters, gas heaters, oil. We have the all up in combination, and solar panels. There seems to be something that might be coming along the line as well in the future.
And with the low flow, say, from a robotic system, kind of slow and steady, is it maybe 2 robots and up, or is it 3 robots and up where heat recovery becomes a reality? Or
yeah, I suppose a robot needs to be busy to get the benefit of heat recovery. So 2 robots and up is generally where you look at. There is some benefit on board, but at the times of the year where the robots aren't busy, then the compressor isn't running, and you're not getting the full benefit of the compressor for the temperature of water. But you should still be getting around 30 degrees, which again, it all helps.
Okay. And we have our divert buckets here as well from, say, waste milk or bee stings or any milk cow that you might have treated. You can divert your milk into either 1, 2 or 3, and then you can decide then if you want to feed it to calves or if you want to dump it or inspect it or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, so in this scenario they have 3 buckets here. In some other scenarios where they're keeping milk for calves, these are mounted a little higher, and you can go into a separate tank outside for if you have large volumes of milk for calves in the springtime. So you've got both those options with that.
So the pipe just is mounted on an air cylinder here, and it runs over across each position, and then it just dumps into the correct one.
Yeah.
So you tell it which one per cow. So you know, say, if you have a cow in there that has bee stings, it's not going to be mixed in with a cow that has, say, antibiotic milk or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. And you set that up that it automatically does that, and it doesn't revert back until you manually override it.
Okay.
To the tank. So Yes, and you can literally as well, if you had a certain milk or certain beastings for a certain calf, you can say code 261 is into this bucket, and you know that's code 261 beastings milk. So you have that option too.
Very handy for fellas that are, you know, on top of the Ione's control, where they only give the correct beastings to the correct calf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Would you like to tell us about your business and the areas you cover and all of that?
Yeah, we're a DeLaval dealer in Cork, so we cover the majority of Cork, down from West Cork, East Cork, all around North Cork, so it's quite a large area. We have we supply the service, installation of milking systems, robotic and conventional milking systems as well, to dairy farmers. So when my father set up the business in 1983, so we've been at it for a few years. We have a great crew of lads now that we have built with us and been with us for a good while. So we brought on in 2015. We got into VMS when DeLaval introduced ABC grazing into their portfolio, and since then we've been driving on. We've over 30 robots now in our area, so it's continually growing.
Yeah, it seems as though the robots wouldn't really take off in Ireland until the grazing was catered for anyway.
Yeah, it was a big stumbling block, and more so as the management of it than the actual robots being capable of doing it, and it seems to be overcome by a lot of very good operators now.
And say you've many people on the staff books there now. Would you have fellas covering night shifts and vans on the road for covering breakdowns?
Correct. Yeah, so it's a big part of the service. We need to be available 24/7. When spring calving herds, if a farmer goes down and he's at peak yield, especially in the robotic systems with calves, we need to be respond quickly and get on vans very fast. So we have a team of 6 service engineers who work a rota and run on call. So we have 2 guys on every weekend to work through that. So that's an important feature to make sure a customer's robotic system works well.
Okay.